Hey guys, Stamina here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be going over a default on the T side of Overpass like the pros. So defaulting on T side Overpass is really difficult for a couple of reasons. One, the CTs are always going to have a rotational advantage. If you're playing the A bomb site and you're anywhere in this area, and we start to come out monster and we start throwing flashes over, the second we hear that, it is so quick for us to run down and come graffiti, right? Or to come out heaven. And whether that's running through a smoke or sometimes there isn't a smoke, it's really difficult for the T's to kind of beat that rotation. The second reason is because it's also a rotational advantage that when the CTs re-aggro, so if they re-aggro divider or front bathroom or long, they're naturally going to be set up to do a quick flank, okay? Now, if you re-aggroed long at an early enough timing, you could actually big flank the entire map. We rarely see this though. When we do see it, it's usually an early round positional advantage where maybe like a CT gets into playground or whatever the case might be. But what we do see all the time is we do see players coming down connector and fast flanking the short players and vice versa. We see the short players fast flanking up blue door and shooting these planters in the back. So there's a few different things that you have to do to give yourself the ability to hit the bomb site without this happening. So the first tip I'm going to say is you need to make sure, the first goal rather, is you need to set specific goals in your default. I know it sounds silly, the goal is to set goals, but you need to have specific plans in every single default. So I'll get into some of these specific plans in just a moment, but that's number one. Number two is you need to make sure that you are seesawing the bomb sites. Once you have space toward A, you know, get a couple players back towards B, whether that's outside of monster or short, and look to fake one of the bomb sites. You know, if you put a bunch of pressure on A, it's so easy to then smoke jump up, smoke bank, and throw a couple flashes and get these players to rotate up toward A. Now, at this timing, this is when you're starting to walk out monster or walk up short, whatever the case might be, right? So you need to make sure that you're seesawing. And then lastly, you need to have endings. Sometimes you are not going to find anything in your default, and you're going to need to make sure that you can still hit the bomb site efficiently. So what a lot of pro teams do is they preemptively design endings or end rounds. And what these are is they're basically, like, many people would think of them as like a strategy, but like the way that they're called in the server is like, yo, we're gonna do this default. If we find nothing, we're gonna do this ending, and that allows you to be efficient when you hit whatever bomb site you go to, without having like a set strat from the beginning of the round. So let's get into it. So let's go over a really common default. We're gonna show you the 3-1-1. Now the 3-1-1 has kind of gone out of meta in recent times, but that's just because people realize like the strength of pressuring toward B. You can still do a 3-1-1, and there are actually some pretty unique ways to do it. And I'm going to show you how. So one of the most common ways of doing a 3-1-1 at the moment is like this. Teams are throwing this front bathroom smoke. You aim right on this corner. You're going to shift walk till you get to the bottom of that leaf. You're going to aim right here, and you're going to run over until you get into the middle of the forklift like this, and then you're gonna run to the white sign and jump throw. Now this is going to smoke front bathroom and magic molly divider. Now this is really good for a 3-1-1 because traditionally if you do a 3-1-1, you have to play slow. You have to smoke this mid molly, sit back molly party, flash over mid, right? It just takes forever. But because you're throwing this nade set, what many teams are doing with this is they're actually going to flash off mid, and they're gonna rush a couple guys close mid. As they're rushing close mid, their opper is going to flash over like this, and then on the call from the riflers who are pushing forward, he's gonna flash like this for divider, and now they can come through and peek divider, and they can go down con, and they can reverse clear con. So now it's only taking you about 20 seconds from the start of the round to clear this front portion of mid and reverse clear con. And to do so, you used one smoke, one molly. And now, because of the current meta of many CTs not mollying mid right here, you've actually only used one smoke and one molly and a couple flashes, which is really, really good. You're able to secure all of this positioning really quickly into the round, which is going to allow you to do many more things in the round. Now, once you have control of this, what would our goal be? Okay, your goal could be just simply to clear out connector fast, right? But that's not really that good of a goal. Your goal could be to then push back these A players all the way back to like dice and site. Now that would be a really good goal. So after you smoke front bathroom, you molly divider, one thing that you could do is you could look to molly off like this front bathroom angle. You could have a teammate flash through the smoke, and you can come through and clear this. And as this is happening, that opper who had flashed for you guys, you know, to take mid, maybe he's posted on long, and he's making sure that nobody's pushing this. And what many teams actually would do is they would have riflers come through bathroom like this and kind of like reverse clear long. And as this is happening, their opper would kind of just like peek out long and try to take these fights. And then boom, you've now pushed back everybody, you know, to this corner or further, front bathroom and further, right? So you can even take this a step further. You could actually throw a supportive flash like this, and this flash will go over that half wall. Surprisingly, it hit something. I don't really know what it hit. Maybe I aimed at the wrong part of the bench. Whoopsies. It's just higher. So like a flash like this. So this flash is going to come over and it's going to blind this corner. Okay. So this rifler who got through bathroom can get that flash and clear this. And now you know everybody is pushed back on the A bomb site. Now, if you can do this by like 50 seconds to a minute, you have plenty of time to look into that second thing I told you in seesawing. Now, seesawing is the idea that when you put pressure on one side, the other side is going to kind of weaken. Think of like the seesaw on the playground, right? You're high over here because somebody's putting pressure over here, vice versa, right? We're doing that in the game. So once we have all of this space, imagine we had our connector defaulter. While we're doing all this at A, his job is to make it out towards like short. He's getting out short from a flash from our monster defaulter, right? On some different timing. If we're able to control short like this with a guy out here from connector, and we're able to watch monster, then when we want to seesaw, we can do it really efficiently. We can have that player long that we spoke about, right? And maybe he can be ready to throw a nade set. Maybe he has some sort of nade set from long, and he can smoke jump up, molly, you know, truck, whatever the case might be, or whatever. And then this guy from divider, he can throw a nade set too. Maybe he like smokes bank, right? And he mollies dice, right? But he can quickly swivel down connector, and none of this noise hurts him because his teammate's in short and they don't have anybody in here. Okay, so what many teams do is they look to kind of activate at the opposite bomb site when they put pressure on the other one. So this is kind of how you would do this out of that 3-1-1. Now, if you're not going to do a 3-1-1 with specific control, like a front bathroom smoke divider molly, you're going to run into a lot of trouble just playing really slow and not controlling enough space fast enough. So I'm going to show you a more common default that you're seeing right now in the meta, the 2-1-2. So the 2-1-2 default is really simple yet really effective, and one of the teams that actually does it the best is Complexity. So I'm going to show you kind of how they look to work this default and the strength of it. So typically the two players toward A will be Halzerk and Elige. Now Elige is their like A site lurker. It's weird to call it a lurker because this guy is usually actually pretty active, right? Like the lurker is like the B guy. He kind of sits there and does nothing, but that's kind of like the two types of lurking in modern day Counter-Strike, right? Like Elige's goal is to kind of get control of the map and to kind of be a thorn in their side, while the guy at B, his job is to kind of like not do anything and not allow the CTs to do anything, right? That kind of was like a tongue twister. But anyways, Elige and Halls are going to work in. Now they're going to do a little bit of a two-man play here, right? Depending on what nade set they're going to be using early, they might opt to smoke the mid molly if it comes, or playground molly if it comes, whatever the case might be. And typically they're going to set up to deny in the early round, right? So they're going to have like opper post on long. Elige actually likes to jump spot on the slide a lot, which you should do, by the way, guys. Like, he's not just doing it to be like a nerd. It's genuinely really smart. You can kind of see if anybody's in any of these setups really early into the round, right? So he'll do a little bit of a jump spot there. Now, their job is to just like take basic map control. Like if they can get out long and Halzert can post up on like the long re-aggro, and Elige could just like walk up like this. When Elige gets close, Halzert can use a flash and flash him into long bathroom. And they can kind of control this part of the map just really slowly. Like they're not taking too many risks. Now while they're doing this, Grim comes into connector and he looks to throw this smoke. Now what this smoke is going to do is it's actually going to be like a smoke that gives you two benefits. One, it's going to make it so that anybody playing in con can't see if you go out to short, and they can't see if any T-side players go into short from the short pipe. Now it also blocks this angle from the jump spotter, okay? And it doesn't give them any vision on if you're working up connector. Now, one thing that's really cool about this smoke is when this smoke is down, what Grim will do and other players that use this nade set will do is they'll molly behind the nade set. so that this side of connector is going to be cleared out while you're sitting at the bottom of this smoke. Now, while this smoke fades, you're kind of just sitting in it for the fade, and you're just walking up and quickly clearing the rest of connector. Now, one thing that's really great about this is because we're using this smoke in here, we're not going to smoke short, but we can still take short control. When the T's molly short like this and the CT's molly short like this, these mollies pretty much fade at the exact same time. But in order to not get ticked by the molly as a CT, I have to be back here and then I have to walk in. So my pathing as a CT takes me longer. So if I'm a T and I'm sitting behind the molly, I'm here. And the second that molly fades, I'm already right here, right? And the closest that CT could be is like right here. So what many teams do is they wait out those mollies and they have this guy flash in. But what's so great about this default is when Grim throws this smoke, not only does it block the jump spot, not only does it block the con player, but he can now activate out short with this guy coming into short at the exact same timing. So if anybody does try to come in and punish, they are going to consistently trade frag that. And this allows them to kind of have 3 toward B while still controlling connector and having like 2 towards A working their play. Now the 2-1-2 is really nice because you can quickly shift it into like a 1-1-3. And you can also shift it into like a 3-1-1 very quickly. Grim could easily just connect with Holzerk and Elige, and they could actually look to do like a 3-man default, right? But most commonly what actually happens is they actually look to connect and have Grim kind of control connector, and his job is going to make sure that nobody like re-aggros like the front bathroom area, while Elige is kind of like working up long and holding for re-aggros here or working through bathroom, right? And Holzer can group back, and what ends up happening is they're going to do these little like micro plays is what I call them. And these micro plays are like a form of seesawing, but they're actually the original goal in the default. And what that goal is going to be is it's going to be to try to find some sort of pick. So one that I used to love that Complexity would always run is they would Molotov wood wall and they would Molotov barrel. And when they would do this, they would have a player close short and they'd flash for him and he would peek up. Now, in theory, if they're in one of those setups where the barrel guy is here and he's jump spotting, you know, and spotting monster, if he gets mollied, he has 2 options: smoke it, or when that molly lands, swing all the way out into the open and fight this short player. Now, because of how they used to set this up, they used to throw the molly like this and throw a flash like this. So as that molly would land, and I missed it, a flash would come over top and you'd have a pretty free fight right here. Now, this is great because this goal is so simple, right? You're getting short control, you're putting a lot of pressure on, you're going for this pick, and if you get the kill, you're in a 5 versus 4. That's a dream come true T-side overpass. If you don't get the kill, they're using their utility. It's basically a win-win, right? And there's a caveat here. If you throw this nade set and you molly here and you molly here and you flash over and this guy doesn't see anybody, then you know they're in a monster setup, right? But because you mollied wood wall, they can only be like in the pipe or to the left here. And now you could do like really simple things like nading the monster smoke and flashing over, and you know, maybe JT comes back and he like kind of peeks this with that, right? And there's tons of different options. So that's kind of what the 2-1-2 does for you. Now out of the 2-1-2, it's really easy to do seesaws, right? Like if Floppy got this kill, how easy would it be for Holzerk, who's already outside of monster, to just like smoke heaven, right? And I've actually seen this from teams before plenty of times. Like you smoke heaven, you flash monster, and you put pressure on like you're actually going toward B, right? And then you can just swivel everybody up connector really quickly, right? And while this is happening, Elige is holding for that long push, right? And while this is happening, Grim is holding for this front bathroom and divider push. And if they ever activate here, well, they just quickly get that kill. And now they just activate back up to the other bomb site, right? So this is what makes defaulting on T side possible, right? When you have these goals in mind and you find these openings and you combine these with like a simple seesaw, it's really great. So that's really kind of the concept here on T side overpass. Now for this final default, I'm going to go over the 2-2-1. Now the 2-2-1 is commonly used on anti-eco rounds because it's so good for clearing out connector and getting up toward A as a unit. But it can be used in a couple different ways that are really unique. So one way that people use the 2-2-1 default is they actually use it to not only get connector control, but often they'll put their opper in here. And Virtus Pro is really good about this, but basically every team does a similar default. Now, I kind of explained to you how it is super strong to get up short and do these defaults where you're like working picks towards the B bomb site. But the CTs, knowing this, don't want people to just comfortably sit in short. And what they'll do is they'll throw like a Crims Molly, and they'll have like a guy from barrel flash over it, and they'll re-aggress into short. Now, if you do this versus riflers in this open area, it's pretty effective. You're going to consistently win these duels with CTs and get in a good situation. So what this 2-2-1 default is with the Opper and Con is it creates this scenario where when you guys get up connector, the Opper will actually be the player who holds for this short re-aggro. And now he's just going to post up like this. Now this whole time your Opper is posted here, you still have a guy outside a monster, and he is just making sure that nobody can push here. He's got a few pieces of utility to use in the mid round, like he's got a smoke, he's got flashes, he's used his molly, but he's got smoke and flashes. Your Opera also has his nade set typically. Only thing he's dropped was a molly to the rifler who cleared this, and now your rifler connects with the other two at A, and they can do like a full-on A default. Now, traditionally, we used to see teams actually throw a smoke like this when they would do this sort of default, where they would actually look to get their riflers all the way up bathroom, and this smoke would cut off any of these op angles, okay? And so this guy would come out of con, and they would work all the way up here, and they would really try to pressure all of bathroom and all of long. And they do this because when your op is posted like this, you basically have no timing or info gap. Like, this guy can sit here the whole time, and if they flash and try to fight short, he's typically going to punish them. And so when you know that you've been defaulting short heavy a lot, adding this default into the mix is going to punish your opponents when they try to get info on this side of the bomb site, or on this side of the map, sorry. Because if they try to push short, there's an op holding here, and if they try to push monster, it's really easy for this rifle when he's only focused on monster side, especially because he could always just like timing nade these smokes and see if you're inside of them getting ready to flash through, whatever the case might be. Now again, when you seesaw out of this default, it's really easy. Since your Opper is right here and you have another player monster, when you feel like it's time to do the exec, this monster player can actually leave much quicker because your op is still posted on short, and he can grab the bomb and he can regroup with his teammates. Now, because this guy typically doesn't use his smoke or flashes, we evolve bathroom control, and he's just going to meet up with his teammates, and they're just going to look to do some sort of hit. Now, while they're doing this, this Opera who's been posted right here can just quickly like smoke heaven, right? And he could like flash over monster, and then he can just come up short quickly, and all of a sudden they're doing their exec. Okay, he's posted on dice, and he's making sure that nobody's peeking from here. And then he's coming up, and maybe he has like a god flash for you guys, and he can hold the flank. So you can see how by having kind of like control of connector, you can do these little seesaws and you go to the other bomb site so quickly, and it's super efficient. And if you don't play it like this, you end up being in a situation where every single time you go to hit A or every single time you go to hit B, you're getting flanked. So you pretty much have to do these types of defaults where you're constantly doing these little seesaws and pressuring each bomb site before you go to the other. Okay, so we talked about defaulting with goals. We talked about seesawing. The last thing we need to cover is end rounds. Now, I'm going to show you a couple really simple end rounds. Like, let's just imagine we've done a really simple default where we have 3 guys towards A. We've got 1 guy out, and he's holding like this long re-aggression. We've got a couple guys up toward divider here. We have 1 guy con, we have 1 guy monster. They threw a little bit of a seesaw towards B and faked a little bit. Now we have the final nade sets. What we're gonna do is we're going to come like this. We're gonna have 1 guy throw a jump up smoke truck molly combo, jump up smoke truck molly. Okay, as he's throwing that, we're gonna have another guy throw a bank smoke dice molly combo. All right. And then now we're going to have this guy up long. He's going to activate very late. He's going to turn this corner late so that when they're running up A, anybody in this corner will be caught off guard, or anybody trying to fight us from here will be caught off guard. We're going to run up divider really easily, and we're going to take the bomb site, right? We have a couple of flashes. We can flash once to get somebody off that dice angle, throw a second god flash to hit the bomb site, right? Easy peasy. Really simple ending toward A. Another easy ending you can do is you can have 3 guys in short and 2 guys monster. The short guys are going to smoke heaven and throw these device flashes. These device flashes are very, very versatile. They blind anybody playing back graffiti. They blind you if you're barrel peeking out like this. They blind you wood wall, monster looking at short, and anybody playing like close bridge. Really good flashes. Now, as that's coming through, you're going to have 1 guy outside a monster, or 2 guys outside a monster, and 1 guy is going to throw this smoke for a deep bridge. And as he throws this smoke, he's going to flash over monsters. So what you now have is you have this deep bridge smoke combined with a heaven smoke, and these guys coming up short can wrap and drop into pit and kind of like reverse flank these guys playing barrel, and they have tons of cover while they're doing this, right? And as this is happening, you also have guys coming out monster, so you're pinching everything on the bomb site. And again, these concepts are really simple. We're talking 2 smokes, 1 molly. Forgot to mention, this guy can also molly barrel from here really quickly and then flash, right? So we're talking 2 smokes, 1 molly, couple flashes, and you're ending the round in a very efficient way if you don't find any openings in your default, to where your seesaw kind of lets you end the round in a more natural way out of the default. So make sure that you're creating endings. You can create all sorts of different ones that can be unique to your team. These are just a couple that are really commonly used in pro play at the moment. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed my video, and like always, if you did, go ahead and leave me a thumbs up and comment below what you'd like to see next. We have Ancient, Inferno, and Vertigo left to do in the defaulting series, and for the next 3 Mondays in a row, I plan to post those, but I'm kind of getting a little short on ideas for other videos, so let me know you guys want to see. If you have any questions on anything, I'm glad to make videos on different ideas that you guys might have. So anyways, I appreciate you guys' support, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace out.